Let's get straight to the point. Vivo X90 Pro Plus against the Xperia 1 Mark IV camera comparison. So let's get started. So let's check out the camera specs here. We have a triple lens setup on the Xperia with a triple 12 megapixel lenses, and we have a 50 megapixel main, a 50 megapixel 2x tele, 48 megapixel ultra wide angle, and 64 megapixel periscope zoom on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. And then on the front we have a 32 megapixel on the Vivo and 12 megapixels on the Xperia. And I think we start off with the front-facing video. So this is the video of the Xperia 1 Mark IV front-facing 4K 30 frames per second. What do you think about this one here? I think this is pretty good. Sony did a great job when it comes to their front-facing cameras, where they were like lacking behind a couple of years ago, still with their full HD only capabilities and 8 megapixel mediocre kind of sensor. We are now having here a 12 megapixel sensor that is doing a pretty fine job, I would say. Stabilization is nice, the colors are nice, and also the sharpness is nice. The only thing that is missing here would be like an autofocus system. Otherwise 4K 30, what can you expect? It's like very, very good, sharp, nice and detailed, and can be used for vlogging as well. And now the front-facing video on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Only 1080p 30 frames per second. You can go up to 60 frames per second, but that's it basically. Nothing more here on the front-facing camera. And this is a bit of a disappointment because this device is very, very expensive. A flagship device, but it cannot compete against the Xperia's front-facing camera, simply because we have here no 4K. 32 megapixel sensor, otherwise it should be able to do 4K, but I think the sensor readout speed is too slow, or there's some other limitations that is keeping Vivo from using 4K here on this front cam. What do you think about the quality here, stabilization, colors, and so on? So now I'm recording with the main camera of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark IV, 12 megapixel, 4K 30 frames per second, no issues at all with this one. And it has, of course, the new feature, seamless zoom feature, so I can go also, if I want to zoom out, I can zoom out here to the 16mm lens. That is also working fine. What do you think about the stabilization, colors, and so on? Sony is fine-tuning and matching the colors of all three lenses, which is pretty nice. So they're putting a little bit of extra work in it to have very nice colors here, and I think indeed it is showing there. 16 millimeter actually, 12 megapixels, 4K 30 as well. It can also record 4K up to 120 frames per second, which is very unique on this market. I think only the ZTE Accent 40 Ultra can do this as well. What do you think about this one here? I think this is a perfect vlogging kind of cam, and also HDR should work fine enough at least. What do you think about this one? Let's try to zoom in because there's something passing by, a little ship passing by, and we want to zoom in on this. So let's zoom in, and I'm slowly zooming in using the volume keys because I can do so. You can see the switch of the camera because like the camera is positioned differently. So now it's switched again. Now I'm at the maximum zoom shortly. There we go, the maximum zoom of 375 millimeters. And it's looking pretty nice. I could at least read the ship's name here. And now this is the video with the Vivo X90 Pro Plus using its superior 1-inch type sensor that should give you nice background bokeh, a nice creamy bokeh here, and also good color stabilization and so on. Also good HDR. I think the HDR here, especially in video mode, is better than the Xperia ones. What do you think about this one here? Let's also zoom out to the ultra wide angle because we can do so when we're recording 4K 30 frames per second, what I'm doing here right now. So this is the ultra wide angle. What do you think about this one here? How's the quality in comparison to the Xperia 1 Mark IV? So the Vivo X90 Pro Plus I think is also very good when it comes to doing some video recordings here, especially when it comes to vlogging and such things. Let's check out the telezoom because we have a little bit of a limitation here, but we still have the ship passing by. So let's zoom in here telezoom wise 1 times. Now we are at 2 times. It's switched lenses I think, and I can zoom in here 5 times, but it's not switching lenses anymore. when I'm recording 4K 30 frames per second. So at 10 times maximum zoom here, I can still, I think, read what's going on here, but it's still bad. So what I have to do is like stop the recording here. And now I started recording with the 3.5 times zoom lens directly. And now I can also zoom in even further, up to 10 times, and you can see it's much clearer than before. So this is a little bug still going on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus that I didn't fix yet, and I'm not sure if they will fix it at 4K 30 at least. I'm not sure how it looks like on 1080p, but yeah, you can see it is much clearer there. I think even a bit clearer than the Xperia. What do you think? Write it down in the comments.
Here we have the photos. On the left, always Xperia 1 Mark IV, on the right, always the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. What we can see here on first glance is the better HDR on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, thanks to its larger sensor. Also, what we can see, a bit of more intense of color here, especially around the sun, where we have a bit more yellow. We can also see that it's a bit sharper on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. That could be due to over sharpening, but mainly probably due to the lens that is just a little bit better, or the sensor size being better, and yeah, better HDR for sure. When we switch to the ultra wide angle, we can clearly see that we have again a little bit of a brighter shot, less kind of shadow details here, a bit of more HDR kind of shot and look on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Clearly the Xperia 1 Mark IV doesn't look so intense, and we can see intensive colors, especially here in the background, where we have lots and lots of orange and yellowish tones on the X90 Pro Plus, where the Xperia keeps it real with those kind of little bit of yellowish kind of tones here. And yes, I took the shots with the size colors on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, but still we got those very intensive colors. Then we can see also the HDR is overdoing it with the shadow details here. We can see the shadows are a lot darker here on the 1 Mark IV, which is more realistic because the sun was setting, and it doesn't look like this on the X90 Pro Plus, where it's like smoothing everything out, and probably not the effect that you want to have. When we take a look at the detail level, I was very surprised that the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, despite having a bit more megapixels here, outcome being pixel binned to the 12 megapixels here anyway, but still having less details. You can see it's smoothing everything out here, but all the details in the pathway are gone. The details in the grass are gone. Granted, the Xperia 1 Mark IV is a bit over sharpening for sure, but still we have much more details here on the 1 Mark IV. It's much sharper in overall. And yeah, I'm very surprised that I think here the Xperia 1 Mark IV is winning, even though the Vivo X90 Pro Plus I think looks a little bit wider here. You can see that we have a lot wider kind of field of view than the Xperia. When we take a look at zoom shots, we have native zoom 2 times on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, which uses a very large sensor in comparison to the 1 Mark IV's 3.5 times zoom. But what I want to compare here is the 3.5 times zoom. What we can clearly see here is again a bit brightened up on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, a lot better HDR, one could say, but also different color tones. So we have a bit of more greenish, bluish kind of, no, bluish kind of tint on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus for sure, and a little bit more yellowish kind of tint. The 1 Mark IV is a bit more true to life because the sun was setting. It was a bit more yellowish, and yeah, we can clearly see as well here that it's again a bit too intense here on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and the rest is a bit too blue here. It's a bit too darkish on the 1 Mark IV, but you can easily fix this if you just go into your tools and go into adjust colors and then raise the gamma a little bit, like for example to 80 here. And then let me go back here, and we can clearly see that now we can see also shadow details here. We can see that there are people walking around, that we can see also on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. The colors are more accurate on the 1 Mark IV. It just was underexposing for some reason. And in terms of like sharpness levels, we can see the same. There's not much of a difference. There's a bit of more sharpening maybe on the X90 Pro Plus, but on the other hand, the 1 Mark IV has certain areas that have more detail, especially here, as you can see here. So I would give this slightly win to the 1 Mark IV. Otherwise, it's head-to-head, neck-to-neck X90 Pro Plus against the 1 Mark IV at 3.5 times zoom. When we take a look at the 10 times zoom, we can clearly see the same kind of thing going on. A bit more intense color here in the background, a bit too yellowish, but much closer now. And when we can see the color calibration on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is not very consistent. On the 1 Mark IV it is more consistent, but we have slightly underexposure on the 1 Mark IV. Again, it's too dark, just simply too dark. In terms of detail level at 10 times zoom, you can clearly see maybe a little bit. Let me correct quickly the gamma here a little bit on the 1 Mark IV so that no one says I'm cheating and telling you bullshit. So there we go. As you can see here, both doing a fine job. Of course, I raised the gamma now. We can see a little bit of more noise creeping in, but the Xperia is not so far off from the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. You have to really pixel peep to see that there are a little bit more details on the X90 Pro Plus. And yeah, this is clearly visible then, but it is very, very minor. And I would say this is a win for the X90 Pro Plus at 10 times zoom. Now let's go to the, this is by the way, some issue on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Sometimes it doesn't focus at all. So I have to restart the camera app completely, otherwise it doesn't focus with the main cam. Anyway, this is the 5.2 times zoom, which should be this one here. So 5.2 times zoom. Again, we can see, again, I should raise the gamma here. About 80 will be fine, and then we can clearly see again 5.2 times zoom against 5.2 times zoom, hybrid zoom on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, and it is the native zoom on the 1 Mark IV. We can clearly see that the 1 Mark IV has a bit of more details there, but is really again neck to neck. Sometimes we have a bit more details here, especially the tree on the X90 Pro Plus, a bit sharper. Sometimes I think the Xperia is doing a bit better. So it's very, very neck to neck. And in terms of colors, definitely look at the yellow. This is like just completely wrong in the X90 Pro Plus, even with size colors. So yes, the 1 Mark IV can definitely keep up with zoom. I'm very surprised because I thought it is a win for the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Let's go to the next photo, which is this photo. Again, we can see more intensified colors. Again, even with sized colors, we get a bit of more HDR, we get a bit of more sharpness going on the X90 Pro Plus, but the intensity of colors is just a little bit too much here. The details a bit better on the X90 Pro Plus with the main sensor, but the colors here again too intensified. The colors, especially on the green grass here, even though the grass is sharper, the Xperia is creating a much true to life, more true to life photo here. When it comes to zoom shots, macro shots, Vivo X90 Pro Plus has the ultra wide angle that can act as a macro shot camera, and you get much closer to objects. The Xperia 1 Mark IV does have an ultra wide angle, but it has autofocus, but you cannot do close-up shots with this, so you have to rely on the main sensor. This is what you can get with the main sensor. You can see on first glance the 100% view here on the 1 Mark IV comes close to what you can get with the X90 Pro Plus, but you can go to 100% here as well. So yes, the X90 Pro Plus is miles ahead in terms of macro photography. When it comes to the selfie cam, on first glance it looks like the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is doing a better job, especially because it's doing better HDR again. We have overexposure on the 1 Mark IV, but we have a bit of more yellowish kind of face here on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. If I zoom in, you can see the 32 megapixels. Yes, I can zoom in very, very far here. On the 1 Mark IV, however, I cannot zoom so far, but I have more sharpness. I have a bit more noise around my face for sure, I would say, but I have more sharpness, more details on my face than on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus, which is very surprising to me. But we saw it already on the selfie video that the Vivo X90 Pro Plus is not winning. And here again, the Xperia, even though it has more noise for sure, it is sharper overall. And here, look at the Sony microphone that I'm using here. A noise on both, maybe a bit noisier on the Xperia 1 Mark IV, but also a bit sharper, more details than on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. So definitely the 1 Mark IV here wins, even though I would say more pleasing to the eye, especially when you're looking on the smartphone, would be the X90 Pro Plus. When we take a look at low light shots, the Vivo X90 Pro Plus with its 1-inch type sensor is clearly leading here. This shot with a little bit of light, the X90 Pro Plus didn't have to take on or turn on night mode. On the 1 Mark IV, it turned on night mode for a few seconds, and what it leads to is a little bit unsharp photo on the 1 Mark IV, a bit sharper on the X90 Pro Plus for sure. And don't worry, the dust has been cleaned up. I was shocked when I saw this photo. Anyway, we see a bit of a difference in terms of colors. So I had my LED lamps on that have a more yellowish kind of look, but also white look. So I think the X90 Pro Plus is doing a little bit too much in terms of yellowing those light here. And I think the 1 Mark IV is doing a bit too much in making it looking too blue. Next shot, both kicked in the night mode. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus has a brighter exposure here, as you can see, and less noise, more details, I would say, where the Xperia 1 Mark IV already struggles with the noise, as you can see. There's a bit of a difference because we have a darker exposure here, a brighter exposure here. on the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. I think the Vivo X90 Pro Plus wins here, and this is a 90-day difference. Toolbox, granted, I did see what the One Mark IV is seeing here right now with my own eyes. The Vivo X90 Pro Plus with its night mode kicking in is doing this here. Yes, the Xperia also kicked in the night mode, but it cannot produce daylight out of nighttime. Even if I go into manual mode, this is what I did with 0.8 seconds with, I think, the highest ISO, and then 2 seconds with the highest ISO. Now I can see the tools here, and I think also the more reddish kind of tone on the One Mark IV is much more accurate than the Vivo X90 Pro's plus a greenish kind of tone that looks a bit unrealistic. But yes, the X90 Pro Plus is better in nighttime photography than the One Mark IV for sure. I would be amazed, I would just fall off my chair if it would be another way, because it's a 1-inch type sensor, where the Xperia One Mark IV only has a 1/1.7-inch type sensor. So yeah, it is clearly the winner here in nighttime photography. What do you think about the Vivo X90 Pro Plus? I think the main camera lens goes to the Vivo X90 Pro Plus. Colors overall goes to the Xperia because it's just more realistic. It's a bit too punchy on the Vivo. And when it comes to the ultra-wide angle, the One Mark IV really wins against the X90 Pro Plus, and it's a head-to-head when it comes to zooming in, though the Vivo X90 Pro Plus definitely has a head over the Xperia One Mark IV when it comes to 2x zoom, portrait zoom, because you can get way better shots with this one. So what do you think about the photos here?
Can we even call it a competition, because the clear winner here is the Vivo X90 Pro Plus with its magnificent 1-inch type sensor that gives you creamy bokeh, a very nice videography. Yeah, the Sony, maybe the ultra wide angle in video mode a little bit better, stronger, maybe also in photos. I'm not so sure about it, because HDR is a weak point of the Sonys, and you can clearly see it with its magnificent HDR on the Vivo as well. The colors might be not, even in size color mode, might not be so accurate. The Xperia is a bit more accurate for sure there, but the Xperia also with its smaller sensors tend to get more noise, especially also on the selfie cam. You notice that a lot, and the lack of the better HDR also prevents it from creating great shots with the selfie cam. So what do you think? What is your favorite device in this comparison? Write it down in the comment section. That's everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time. Bye.